Don't forget to talk to us on 021-448-6266. WhatsApp voice messages on 083-297-3910. Nels is here. Not the first time I came in. Oh, you're upgraded now, huh? Like that. Make me blush, Neil. He's with
looking great.
Yeah, he's with the StreetSmart. And basically StreetSmart, they raise funds for street children projects through participating restaurants, accommodation, and establishment. Nels, welcome. Thank you again for coming through, man.
Thank you so much, Bashi.
When you here?
I forgot, time is flying.
Yeah,
I think
flies.
it may be 3 years ago, 4 years ago?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Okay.
But you really did a great job of the studio. Fantastic.
It is. Made me blush.
You're a lucky man.
Since we last had a chat, and okay, there have been a lot of people logging in, so others, they would love to know who StreetSmart is.
StreetSmart is a funding conduit. We go to restaurants and ask restaurants to become part of our setup. They collect money on behalf of us from their clients by adding 5 Rand per table. And I always say it's 1 Rand 25 for a table of 4. I mean, not that I'm great at maths, but if you break it down to that, it's 1 Rand 25. So it really is unfortunately not an awful lot, but many times 5 Rand make a lot of money. So we look for restaurants in various areas, and the nice thing is because it's 1 Rand 25 per person on a table of 4, but it's always per table. So if it's 2, then it's 2 Rand 50, and if it's 1, then it's 5 Rand. We can do it anywhere. And we are doing it anywhere. We are in various destinations throughout South Africa. One of the secret ingredients, as far as I'm concerned, and we want to push that a lot harder, is that it's localized.
Okay.
Meaning that if there's a number of restaurants, usually we say 5 restaurants upwards, in the Woodstock area, let's say, and Woodstock and Salt River. So we could then set up a committee within Woodstock and Salt River and say, right, this is now your district. The money collected will go to a charity that operates here, so that you can, when you are in the restaurant, you say, but where's my money going? Because so many other charities, you collect money in Cape Town and it goes to Palabora or wherever, and wherever it might be. Here it really is something which we want to push very hard to say it's localized, because unfortunately the need with street children, with children at risk to become street children, is so great everywhere that we really want to make sure that
across everyone,
absolutely,
it's in our face, right in our doorstep. We can see. So who came up with this concept?
It's started in London as a seasonal campaign for the homeless in winter to make sure that they have shelter. And our founder, Margie Biggs, and myself, we were, about 13, 14 years ago by now, we were in London at a show, at an exhibition, tourism exhibition, and we both independently came back and said, that idea we must bring to Cape Town. We must bring to South Africa and see that we can somehow raise money for street children. And so we changed the concept a little bit and said it's for street children, and it's not just seasonal, because unfortunately our problem with street children and those at risk is throughout the year. There is no season, where it disappears or where it comes back and whatever. It's a year round. And so instead of setting it up separately, Margie contacted me and said, would you like to do it? And I said, fantastic, I would love to. So a whole lot of us got together and founded this board. Melanie Burke, who's now our chairman, was part of that originally. And we've been going on for 13 years now, since 2005. We collected well over 12 million Rand. In that period, we average about 1 million Rand plus minus. We do see there's a barometer almost in terms of what what the economy is doing, because some years are better than others. But on average, we're sitting at about 1 million Rand that are distributed to the beneficiaries. There's 16 of them in the various local areas, and it's fantastic to see the work that's being done through those beneficiaries. So again, we are just a conduit. We're collecting the money and passing it on. Giving it to them. When I say giving it, I need to qualify that we only give it to registered beneficiaries, beneficiaries who are audited annually, who are registered with the Department of Social Services, and who have got a plan of what they want to do with the money. We do not, for example, somebody says we need a new bakkie, would you finance a bakkie for us? No, we will not finance a bakkie. Very rarely do we finance any kind of physical infrastructure. It's usually programs that we fund, social workers and the like, So they present us annually the request for funding. They send us a whole proposal and say, this is what we want to do with this money. These are the desired outcomes. And then they report back before they get another tranche of the money.
Okay.
So it's all very, very well controlled and very much above board. And every single £5 that is collected or that are collected in the restaurants go to the beneficiaries.
Nels, we basically it goes down to the street children. But we still seeing the kids, street children. Is it to do with like what does it do with this money? Just for interest, is it like to take them off the streets or just to clothe them, warm them?
No, again, not infrastructure, it's programs. Ideally, it's a family reunification because a lot of those kids have run away from home.
Okay.
Not all of them come from completely broken homes. A lot of them, yes, certainly. But there are a few that are, in inverted commas, naughty. You know, in the first week it's kind of cool, you know, hanging out with the dudes on the street corner and whatever, and then suddenly slippery slope starts taking place and whatever, and then it's very difficult for them to get back home. So the programs, many of the programs work with family reunification. When you say take them away, there was, every year there is somebody who says, oh, we should take those street children away.
Yeah.
How horrible. I mean, they're human beings. They're our future. Children, full stop. So what's happening is that they, with the programs that we support, they go into programs. For example, if I say Learn to Live.
Okay.
Learn to Live. They have a school. They have a skills program. There's one that we support.
Those life skills programs.
Absolutely, and also there's one that we support, which is the spray painting workshop.
Okay.
So we've seen children who go in there, age 17, 16, whatever, and they learn these skills, and they're now working.
Okay.
So they're off the street. They're working. Another program that we support is in Niedrecht, afternoon care and homework supervision, which is fascinating. I mean, the people there, I mean, whenever I need to re-energize myself for StreetSmart, I go to one of these programs with our team and see how that happens. I mean, to see the children there, how they just suck up that knowledge, suck up that care that they're given by these people. In something as basic as a container that's been turned into a classroom. But the children who are there now would be on the street if they weren't in that afternoon care. And that's the reality, and that's the reality that we're trying to fight with supporting these programs.
So basically empower those street children.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
To walk tall one day and be responsible citizens.
To give them a chance.
Give them a chance, you know. We all went through that. Others, they do sleep. It's human.
Yeah.
Talk to us on 021-448-62. You might have been one of the alumni. Yeah, man, this is a good story I want to share. I started with this NGO, and I've got your book here. It says Eat, Sleep, and Taste Responsible. Talk to me about that.
Absolutely. That's it used to be called the Responsible Dining Guide, but we've now expanded our I would say supporter base, if I can call it that, to not only restaurants but also to accommodation establishments and wine tasting centers. So that we say right now you can also support us, whether you want to add £5 per night, whether you want to add £5 per tasting. We really welcome that because again every £5 makes a difference, and that's really what it's all about. And I can only encourage establishments in the hospitality industry, whether it is a restaurant, a fast food joint, whatever. Again, £5 is really not an awful lot of money, unfortunately, nowadays. But it adds up when you have many people doing the good thing and eating in those restaurants that support us, or sleep in the accommodation establishments, or taste their wines in these wine tasting centers. So it really is about getting the numbers right and people supporting us and adding it on. I mean, I think that's another important part that I want to mention, is that it should be added on automatically. Because I feel when I go to a restaurant, I want to escape a little bit the real world. And the real world means that at a robot there is somebody who's asking for money. Then on the pavement there's somebody asking for money. There's constantly some sort of that going on. So I do not want to have the waiter come to me afterwards and say, would you like a dessert and can I interest you in a £5 donation? It should be added on automatically.
But what's the process? Is it automatic?
The idea is to have it on automatically. So there's a little tent card which carries a little saying by Archbishop Desmond Tutu, where he, for example, says, do you a little bit of good where you are. It's those little bits of good put together that overwhelm the world. That's what Tutu said, and it's on a little card on the table in a restaurant where it says a voluntary donation of R5 will be added to your table bill.
Okay.
If you do not want to have it added on, or if you want to add more, please say so. The pushback is minimal. But I believe that the pushback is much higher if you ask at the end of the day, or if you ask at the end of the, or have a little tin at the end of the counter and whatever. I think it's much more elegant to put it on the bill. It's on there. You know, when you spend, I don't know, 150, 200, 500, 600 rand, whatever it might be, and there's a R5 donation on there. You know, it really is much easier than engaging the guests otherwise.
Are you working national levels?
Yes.
It's a national program.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where are you? Is it mostly the urban, like?
We are literally all over. There is
bigger cities, so you know.
Bigger cities, smaller cities. We're in Cape Town and Helderberg, Oudtshoorn, Franschhoek, Paarl, Knysna, Plettenberg, Stellenbosch, Swellendam, Pretoria, Johannesburg, George, Durban, Wellington, and Worcester at this stage. And we hope that there are many more coming. As I said, the need, unfortunately, is so widespread that there is no exclusion. There, any other little town or whatever could say, you know what, we need to have it. It really is up to the people to then create that that vibe and get a few restaurants together, as I said, ideally 5, and start a setup in their neighborhood.
Okay, and so you also have some. What's this here?
Well, that's a little gift we handed out to some of our sponsors, which was done by. The program escapes me now, but the small children that painted those tiles.
Okay.
And it's there to protect your beautiful desk here, to make sure that when you have your nice cup of coffee that you well deserve, you don't stain.
Or maybe you can buy it and then that proceeds will go to sustainable.
That's also an idea, of course.
Okay. Nice. So the pictures are done by these little children.
And painted by them.
Wow, lovely pictures. The Child Protection Month for children also. Now, these restaurants, go back to this project, restaurants, were they chosen according to what they serve, or just out of their own?
Again, that's the beauty. There is no criteria. So we do not say, we only take fine dining establishments, or we only take fish restaurants, or whatever. It is really up to the owner and the manager to say, we want to be part, we want to collect on your behalf and make a change.
Okay.
We've got restaurants in there that really are definitely in the upper echelons and considered fine dining, and we have got others which are coffee shops. It really is down to the commitment of the owner, the commitment of the management to say we want to make that change, we want to help, and we want to assist by adding those R5 per table automatically, not at the end of the automatically straight on, and then collect the money and then pay it over every month to our offices. We are also, of course, we are audited every year. We've never had a qualified audit. We've always been clean and clear as it should be, absolutely. And again, I stress that every R5 collected in the restaurants goes to the beneficiaries, which I think is a fantastic thing. We support ourselves and the effort, because unfortunately admin and these things have to be done properly. Yes. So there are costs because we employ people, but they are being paid, and all our expenses are being paid through private donors and fundraising that we do, so that we can assure our diners and our partners in the restaurants that every R5 goes to the beneficiary.
Have you ever maybe received maybe a comment or somebody say, why are you taking government's responsibility of the children? Government or social welfare department has to do this?
Should I really speak about politics now?
No, it's not politics. No, don't worry. Nobody will be waiting for you outside.
No. I agree. There is a responsibility, but the thing is, as I said, the need is so big that all of us need to make a difference. All of us who live in this country, which is a beautiful country. I've been here, you might hear a little accent, I've been here for 30 years. The day before yesterday was my 30th anniversary in South Africa. I'm from Germany originally. And I love this country. But we've got a lot of things that we need to work on, a lot of things that we need to do. And looking after the children who are less fortunate than our own, is one of them. And the government has got a massive task to look after other aspects. And I just wish that going forward they do it better than they have in the past few years.
Thank you for mentioning that from Germany. How better? What can we learn from Germany?
Many things. Yeah, there's poverty. I mean, contrary to popular belief, there's poverty in Germany. Absolutely, there are homeless people in Germany. There's poverty in Germany, but nowhere near to to what we've got here. Absolutely not. And there are agencies that are taking care of it as much as they possibly can. We've got a massive refugee population in Germany that came over in the last few years. You may have seen that in the press. Of course, there is a lot of that, but the structures are stronger. The governance aspects are, more developed and more looked after. Absolutely. And even there, I mean, there's still something which is called corruption. That still exists. But not quite on the scale that we experienced here over the past few years. But it certainly does exist. But again, it's being brought to the fore and whatever. But to come back to the children, I think that's where we all need to do it, because we when we are in our cars, or when we walk past or sit in the bus or wherever we are, we see these children, and it's very tempting to just throw them a fiver or whatever. And we always say, please do not. The only thing you give is a smile and a little chat. And I always do that. I always like when I see a kid during school hours, I say, why aren't you at school? Have a little chat, because they're human beings, and we mustn't treat them with disrespect and just turn the other eye or turn the blind eye. But not to give money, because the moment you start giving money to anybody on the street, you condemn them to a life on the street. And that is one of the things that I've learned over those many years through the beneficiaries that we support, that they always say, you will make our lives much more difficult if you keep on giving on the street, because where's the incentive to go to programs? Where's the incentives to not sleep rough, but to sleep somewhere where it's orderly and whatever? Where's the incentive when you are on the street and you receive more money on the street temporarily than you would elsewhere?
So that woman with the baby on his back, I mustn't give anything. Even if it hurts me, like, wow, like
it does hurt you, because we all look for instant gratification. And if you give her 5 rand, 10 rand, I saw the other day somebody give somebody 50 rand or even 100 rand. I saw the note being folded up. That person feels good for, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and say, oh, I helped a poor person. Rather take that money and say, let me support on an ongoing basis the structures that are in place. And there are many, many good organizations beyond Street Children who look after beyond StreetSmart and also beyond the aspect or the need for street children. There are many organizations that look after the homeless and so forth. So rather support them than just give an individual 50 rand, 20 rand, 10 rand, whatever it might be.
And in talking about the individual, what are the processes if I want to be part of your list, one of the donors, and be anonymous?
Well, we love those because they sometimes come with larger amounts, the ones that don't want to be mentioned. So we are on the net, of course, on the web, and it's www.streetsmartsa.org.za.
Okay.
So that's again StreetSmartSA, one word, .org.za, and on email that would be info@streetsmartsa.org.za. That's where you can get hold of us, and very happy to talk about regular contributions and whatever, because again the regular ones, and maybe I state the obvious, those are the most preferred ones, because we want to have continuity, we want to have sustainability. So if we have got a program that we support, we want to see that we can support it on an ongoing basis, rather than just for 6 months and whatever, because the need again and many programs only will grip and have an effect if they are supported for longer periods.
Your clientele updates on what you're doing. When is it? Once a month or once?
We've got regular newsletters. When we've got something to say, we send them out to our database, to which people can put themselves by emailing us to info@streetsmartsa.org.za.
Yeah, also StreetSmart. June is here. It's cold. What are you gonna do, you guys?
What are we doing?
Yeah. Chilly, freezing.
Yeah, well, again, we support our beneficiaries and make sure that it happens. We may, I'm not sure, and our Renette, who is our administrator, she will, if she were here, she would keep me under the table, because we used to do for a few years, we used to do with the restaurants, we used to do a hearty soup promotion where we said, let's do the soup and add 5 rand to the soup that is sold. We may revive that for next winter. I don't think we're going to get it this winter.
Oh, thank you, man, for coming. Any last words?
No, look, thank you to all of those who have supported us in the past, and please, any restaurateurs out there and diners, if you go to a restaurant, whatever it might be, whether it's a fine dining, whether it's a just a local diner, local grill somewhere, please ask them why they don't join StreetSmart. It doesn't cost them anything. It's a little effort and a big effect.
Okay, geez, of course. Find them on Twitter. They're also on the Twitter handle at
Absolutely.
StreetSmart SA. Facebook, StreetSmart dot South Africa. Please speak to the physical address just around the corner in Obza.
Yeah, that's where our offices are, yeah.
Corner Main and Browning Road in Obza.
Which are also donated.
Oh, right.
Which is fantastic.
Thank you, man, for coming on today.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
And that brings us to the end of this edition of Backchat. Thank you to Nels from StreetSmart. And also earlier on, we were joined by Joan.